In today's product review, I'm going to review Intermountain's brand new release of EMD's Paducah Rebuild GP10 locomotives. I picked up 3 of them, 2 of which are ESU Loc Sound decoders and 1 is a non-sound unit. Here are the 3 locomotives that I purchased, and the road numbers and the sound versus non-sound. Because these are brand new locomotives, I'm going to go ahead and play the part of the video now where I do a test run, do a sound check and things like that. After that part of the video, please stay with me and I'll show you the unboxing and highlight some of the features of the locomotive. Okay, because I don't have my layout set up yet, I'm actually working on that. That'll be in video upcoming here. I just set up a small oval on a table in my basement, got my DCC system hooked up. So let's go ahead and fire this up. Track power's on. So function 8, we'll go ahead and start the startup sequence. So F0 is the headlight, and that turns on, that activates the headlight on the short hood. F4 should be the roof light. Oh, nope, I'm sorry, the marker lights. Reading as I go here, this is brand new to me. F3 should be the roof lights. There we go. You can see it's a gyrating, sort of the gyro light. So F4 are the marker lights. F5 are the number board lights. So we have a lot of lighting functions on this particular locomotive. F6 is ditch lights. This one doesn't have it because it's an older model. F7 is the dimmer. F8 is the startup. F9 is drive hold. So this decoder has it's the Tsunami, not the Tsunami, the Loc Sound full throttle feature, and I'll actually do a separate video on some of the full throttle functions. So we'll go ahead and give it a little power here. Here's the bell, F1. F2 is the horn. Again, that's a Nathan P3 horn, so let's go ahead and give it a little bit of power. Reverse. So a couple things I'll just state here real quick. The number boards on the video, I know that it appears really blasted, but when you're looking at it to the naked eye, it's a perfect light up. It's not too bright, you can still read the numbers. Just a fantastic job on this particular locomotive. We'll turn on the gyro light. This is one of the things I do know on just glancing at the kit here, or the instructions, that you can change some of the CVs if you just want that to be a constant light. So Again, fantastic job by Intermountain, and I'm really looking forward to getting my layout up and running and getting this locomotive and my others, and really having a lot of fun with really what I remember from my childhood, a bunch of Paducah GP10s running around. So thank you guys, and keep watching the video because I'm going to go ahead and do the unboxing. The Intermountain Paducah GP10 rebuild is by far the most anticipated locomotive that has been released since I've been model railroading. It seems like forever since this was announced by Intermountain. They announced it at Trainfest in 2012 in November. Here it is March of 2017, and we finally have this locomotive. I had some serious doubts whether they would ever produce it or not, and now that it's here, we're going to go ahead and open it up and take a look. Usually when I do these review videos, I've had the locomotive out of the box and taken a look at it, make sure there was no parts or pieces missing, and then put it back in and pretend like I've unboxed it. I literally just got home with these locomotives, so this is the first time I've had them out of the package. So Intermountain's packaging is very similar to the rolling stock. The black and red box has a clear blister package. Pull that out, instruction sheet, has an outer sleeve, pull that off, something just fell out. These are the sunshades, and it looks like the platform walk. I'll set those aside for a minute. So this seems to be very well packaged in the outer blister. Let's go ahead and see how this comes apart here, so very carefully. That aside. So it comes, this is a very solid plastic cradle, and there are two Phillips head screws underneath holding the locomotive in place. So I'm going to set that down. Just because it's awkward with how I have the camera, I'm going to stop the video, unscrew it, and then we'll take a look at this locomotive. First impressions out of the package are, wow, this is a tremendously detailed locomotive. I'm going to point out just a couple things real quick here, and then I'll zoom in. So I purchased three different road numbers here, 8059 and 8047. Those are the orange and white models. Both of these are phase 2 GP10 rebuilds. And then I got the 8186, which is the all orange locomotive, and that is a phase 3A locomotive. So the Paducah GP10s were Illinois Central's rebuild program from their old GP7s and GP9s that were the first diesels that the Illinois Central ever owned. They were essentially wore out. They were sent to Paducah, Kentucky for Illinois Central Gulf shops, where they did a complete rebuild and created the GP10. Here in just a second I'll pull out, I do have a GP9 that we'll do some comparison with, but here's some of the spotting features. This is the phase 2 locomotive. On this particular unit, it has the early style pile headlight that's horizontal, or some people call it frog's eyes on the short hood. This one does have a roof mounted double headlight. It has the rounded cab, which was indication of the early GP9s that had the rounded hood. The GP10s had the extended right front toolbox, and certainly you can see the MU hoses and the coupler cut lever. Another spotting feature of the GP10 of the phase 2, it had the bell mounted on the long hood. It has the horse, some people call it a horse collar air filter. You can see it has Bloomberg trucks, and the exhaust, I'll move it down here. Take a better look at that. So you can see the exhaust ports. It has the lift rings to lift the long hood off. All of the various vents, the louvers, the door latches, battery box, etc. Here's sort of a rear 3/4 view. Again, you can see Very high detail with the cut levers. All of the grab irons are very precisely applied. The handrails seem to be fairly sturdy. Roof handles. And again, you can see the rear horizontal lights. Hit the right side here so you can see, again, air compressors. Everything on the right side is going to look very similar to the GP9. Intermountain, I did, while I had the video off, I looked at the instruction sheet real quick. This comes standard with the Nathan P3 horn, so during the part of the video where I was doing test sound, you could hear the horn. Nice thing is Intermountain has several different horns on the decoder, so if it's not prototypical for this unit, you can go ahead and change that. And then here's just the right front view. Again, very precise. It's louvers, windshield washers, the handles, everything. This is everything it was worth the wait for, I can assure you on that. So I put my GP9 in the foreground, the GP10 for right now is in the background. So if you look at the overall, the chassis actually have a very similar appearance. You can see that the gas tank location, air compressor location, the trucks are the same. The louvers on the hoods are essentially the same. Vents on the back of the long hood are the same. The placement of the radiator fans is essentially the same. Again, the angle of the roof is essentially the same, but obviously some of the big spotting differences are GP10 has the chop nose, toolbox on the right front, horsed air filters, but really essentially the rest of the spotting features on these locomotives are fairly similar. So really essentially, again, the chassis remained the same, the prime mover remained the same, it was rebuilt. So Intermountain did a fantastic job in this locomotive. So here's just a close-up of the locomotive. You can really see the detail. The paint is phenomenal. They hit the Illinois Central orange perfectly. This is on the rear. You can see that it has a platform-mounted MU hookup. All the MU hoses color-coded. Illinois Centrals, always be careful. One of the things when I showed the prototype photo earlier of 8059, it did have white handrails, and Intermountain did not do white on this particular road name, or road number I should say. On the all orange, the 8186, it does have the white handrail, so I'm not 100% sure on why. This, again, just a nice close-up. And then here's a close-up of the front end of the locomotive. Again, you can see on the by the MU hoses that there's the always be careful phrase that Illinois Central used on a lot of their locomotives. Try to zoom in here real close and you can see a little bit of the cab detail interior. There is engineer's seat and all the controls. One of the things that you can see on the fireman's side is that there are some wires that you can see, but again, here's just a nice close-up of some of the details of this locomotive. Sharp, crisp paint. So if anybody from Intermountain ends up watching this video, I just want to say thank you for taking the time and effort involved to put this locomotive together. It was definitely well worth the wait. One of the things and one of the reasons why very few companies have tried to produce this locomotive is because since it is a rebuild, there are so many different variations of the locomotives. It really depends upon when they were built, what parts Illinois Central had lying around when they were doing the rebuilds. You know, some of the earlier models had, this is obviously it's a phase 2, so it's an earlier one, but some of the later models had different air filters. They had the Dynacell air filters. Headlights were different. They ended up having some of the later versions. They actually had the EMD, the angled roof on it. So for Intermountain to pick these up, I know there's going to be people, the rivet counters out there, who are going to say, well, this particular road number had these spotting features that was unique to that particular locomotive. I still think there's going to be some, kit bashing involved with these too, by guys who really want to make them, as prototypical as possible. But as far as hitting the major points, Intermountain nailed it. They nailed this locomotive. The colors are brilliant. Runs perfect. I can't really say much more about it, but thank you. So, last thing I'll leave you with here is, I know how Intermountain typically operates is we'll see a re-release of these GP10s probably, my guess is later on this year, maybe early next year, that they'll make an announcement, and then the locomotives will probably come out late in 2018 would be my guess. Still waiting. There's about half of a shipment yet. That'll probably come out in April. And the orange and white, the Illinois Central Gulf will be, is the road name. There's a Chicago Central one. There's the gray and orange Illinois Central Gulf. So I'm going to pick up a few more of these when they're released next month. So until then, I'll talk to you guys later.